idyllic setting that she first came face to face with the casual cruelty of a broken system. She saw him from across the playground, a small boy, no older than 7, standing stock still inside a large green trash can. His name, she would learn, was Leo. She approached slowly, her heart aching with a familiar pang. "Hey there," she said, her voice soft. "What are you doing in there?" The boy refused to look at her. His small voice, muffled by the plastic bin, was heavy with a shame no child should ever carry. "My homeroom teacher said I'm too stupid. She said I'm trash. And trash belongs in the trash can." A cold fury washed over Isabella, but she kept her expression gentle. She smiled, extending a hand. "Well, I don't think that's true at all. I'm Miss Rossi, your new teacher." She spoke with him for a few minutes about cartoons and dinosaurs, and then, just before she helped him out of the bin, she asked him, "Can you tell me my name again?" He looked up, his eyes finally meeting hers. "Miss Rossi," he mumbled. Isabella's smile widened. "See? You remembered. You're actually pretty smart, Leo." That small act of validation, that simple refusal to accept a child's damnation, ignited a change in the boy. And in Harmony Creek, Isabella Rossi worked miracles. In 3 years, she took a class of rural, underperforming students and molded them into the top-ranked class in the entire district. She had won. But for Isabella, it wasn't enough. She resigned, leaving behind her triumph for a bigger dream, a bigger challenge: New York City. Reality, however, hit her like a ton of bricks. In the steel and glass canyons of the city, the prestigious schools she applied to saw only a small-town teacher with quaint ideas. The doors slammed shut, one after another. Her savings dwindled. Desperation began to set in. Then an offer came. It wasn't a prestigious academy. It was Northgate Elementary, a struggling inner-city school. And the position wasn't for their honors program, it was for the class no one else would take. Room 302, a revolving door of misery that had chewed up and spit out 6 different teachers in half a year. They weren't just students. They were a legend, the Unteachables. The principal, a man named Mr. Anderson, whose face seemed permanently etched in a state of weary cynicism, gave him the tour. His voice was laced with a patronizing tone. "Look, Miss Rossi," he sighed, gesturing vaguely towards the chaotic hallway. "Your resume is earnest, but this is not Harmony Creek. These kids are from the toughest neighborhoods, broken homes, foster care, you name it. They're not looking for inspiration. They're just here." Isabella squared her shoulders. "Every child is looking for inspiration, Mr. Anderson. Sometimes they just don't know it yet." Anderson let out a short, bitter laugh. "Right. Well, don't say I didn't warn you." Her first day was a baptism by fire. She walked in to find a classroom that looked more like a war zone. Graffiti covered the walls, desks were overturned, and the students, they looked at her with a mixture of boredom and outright hostility. A tall boy with anger in his eyes, David, sat in the back carving something into his desk with a compass. A girl with fiercely intelligent but guarded eyes, Maria, read a magazine, completely ignoring her. When she tried to introduce herself, a paper airplane whizzed past her head. The class erupted in laughter. To cap it all off, when she left at the end of the day, she found her beat-up old sedan, the car that had carried all her hopes to the city, covered in garish orange spray paint. The word "loser" was scrawled across the driver's side door. That night, in her tiny apartment, she didn't cry. She seethed. This wasn't just a challenge, it was a declaration of war. And Isabella Rossi had never backed down from a fight. The next morning, she walked into room 302 with a new strategy. She placed 20 half-pint cartons of chocolate milk on her desk. The students watched her, a flicker of curiosity in their eyes. "All right, here's the deal. For every single minute that you all give me my undivided attention, no talking, no distractions, just listening, I will drink one of these cartons of milk. We'll keep going until I throw up." A stunned silence fell over the room, followed by a ripple of incredulous whispers. This was new. This was insane. They looked at each other, grinning. This they had to see. They wanted to watch this fool embarrass herself. "You," she said, pointing at Maria. "You're on the clock." She handed her a glass jar and a marble. "Every 60 seconds of silence, you drop a marble in the jar. That's my cue to drink." Maria stared at her, then slowly took the jar. The challenge was set. The first minute began. It was the quietest room 302 had been all year. Clink. The first marble dropped. She picked up a carton, tore it open, and chugged it. The class watched, mesmerized. She wiped her mouth and turned to the blackboard, picking up a piece of chalk. "Okay, let's talk about history," she began. Clink. Another milk. Clink. Another. As the pile of empty cartons on her desk grew, so did the knowledge on the blackboard. Her stomach churned, but her voice never wavered. She could feel the shift in the room. The students weren't just watching a spectacle anymore, they were listening. And then it happened. A hand went up. It was a quiet boy named Samuel. "Yeah?" Isabella asked, trying to hide her shock. "So the British were like the popular kids, and the colonists were us?" Isabella broke into a genuine, brilliant smile. "Exactly, Samuel, exactly." Just then, the door opened. It was Mr. Anderson. He took in the scene, the milk cartons, the rapt attention of the students, with a look of pure disbelief. He beckoned her into the hallway. "What in God's name do you think you're doing? A sideshow? Is that your plan? I have given up on these kids, Rossi. They are lost cause. They are trash. Your only job is to keep them from dragging the rest of this school down with them." The word trash struck Isabella like a physical blow. It was Leo in the garbage can all over again. "Don't you ever call my students that. They are not a lost cause. They are children who have been failed by people like you, and I'm not giving up." Anderson sneered. "Oh, you're not? Fine. You want to prove me wrong? The district finals are in 6 months. Let's make a bet. You get every single one of your students to pass that exam, and I'll publicly admit I was wrong. But when they fail, and they will fail, you resign. No fuss. You just disappear." "You have a deal," Isabella said without a moment's hesitation. The war was on. Isabella transformed her classroom into a laboratory of learning. Dry history lessons became rap songs, with students beatboxing and dancing as they memorized facts. To teach them about perseverance, she brought in a long jump rope and challenged herself to master the complex art of double dutch. She fell, she tripped, she got tangled, her shins were bruised, but she got up every single time, laughing until she could do it. The students watched, and for the first time, they saw a teacher who was willing to look foolish, to struggle alongside them. She zeroed in on the toughest cases. David, the angry boy with the compass, was acting out more than ever. He got into a fight and was suspended. Anderson was ready to expel him. Isabella stormed into his office. "You can't just throw him away." "I can and I will. His father was arrested last night for domestic violence. The boy is poison. He's just like his old man." Isabella's blood ran cold. That night, she didn't go home. She went looking for David. She knew he wouldn't be in the shelters. She did the only thing she could think of. She started going through alleys, checking dumpsters and trash cans, and she found him, huddled behind a restaurant, cold, hungry, and terrified. She didn't lecture him. She just sat with him, bought him a hot meal, and talked to him until the sun came up. She found him a place in a youth home and fought the school board to give him another chance. Then there was Maria, the fiercely intelligent girl. Her homework was always late, her grades slipping. Isabella went to her apartment and found the truth. Maria, at 12 years old, was raising her 3 younger siblings while her mother worked 2 jobs. She had no time for homework. So Isabella started coming over 3 times a week. She would help with the younger kids, cooking and cleaning, while Maria sat at the kitchen table and finally, peacefully, did her schoolwork. The strain was immense. The long hours, the emotional toll, it all caught up with her. One morning, she collapsed in the classroom from exhaustion and a severe case of pneumonia. Lying in a sterile hospital bed, her first thought was of her students. The exams were only 2 weeks away. She couldn't abandon them now. So, with the help of a friend, she propped up a video camera and, against her doctor's orders, recorded lessons for every single day she was gone. Her voice was weak, but her spirit was iron. The day of the final exams arrived. A tense, hopeful silence filled room 302. They had worked so hard. They had come so far. Weeks later, Mr. Anderson walked into the classroom. He held a thick stack of official-looking papers. He didn't look at Isabella. He looked at the students, his face unreadable. The room was so quiet, you could hear a pin drop. "I have the results of the district final exams," he began, his voice flat. He paused, letting the tension hang in the air. Room 302, this 6th grade class tested higher than any other 6th grade class in the entire school. A collective gasp swept the room, followed by an explosion of thunderous applause and cheers. Students were jumping on desks, hugging each other, crying with joy. Isabella felt tears stream down her own face. But Anderson wasn't finished. He held up a hand for silence. "You didn't just test higher than the other classes," he continued, his voice cracking slightly. He looked directly at Isabella, and for the first time, she saw not cynicism, but grudging, profound respect. "You even tested higher than the honors class." The cheer that erupted this time was deafening. It was a roar of triumph, a sound of victory against impossible odds. These so-called trash students, the lost causes, the unteachables, had achieved the impossible in just 6 months. Isabella Rossi had proven her point. There are no bad students. There are only teachers who haven't yet found the right way to see the light burning inside each and every child, and the courage to fan it into a flame.